Mark,
Oh, Joe, that was pretty cool.
what?
Well, when you came on, your image just kind of assembled almost like you're on the Enterprise's transporter deck or something.
Oh, I like that.
That was pretty neat.
Not sure what I did to earn that, but I'll take it.
So, are you in your office at work today?
I am, yes.
Yeah. I like those bookshelves. Those are pretty neat. They look like classics.
Yeah, they date to 1880s.
Really, those are pretty neat.
Yeah, they're part of the original purchase of office equipment for the pumping station.
Oh, that's cool.
And they come apart. Each one is like they stack.
I'm just trying to think if I have time to run
Thank you.
upstairs and get something to show you. I think I do. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Here's my most recent project, Joe. I don't know how it'll show up on the video here, but
Oh,
here we go. It's called a wood mosaic.
okay.
This wood here in the field is lignum vitae. You may be familiar with that. They use it as bearings in a clarifier. The bottom bearing would be, in the old days, would be lignum vitae.
Oh, okay.
Bottom bearing in a water turbine would be lignum vitae. Very hard, very dense South American hardwood.
Oh,
And this Marina fell in love with this wood at Kettle Moraine Hardwoods when we were down there. And she wanted me to make this wood mosaic for her. So the border is maple, and where everything's joined together, I don't know if you can see the plugs. The plugs are maple as well.
yeah.
But this is
That's
my
nice.
latest project. So I love to see classic woodworking like that. That's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, well, I know we tracked it down. There's a maker on it. It was made in Michigan.
Neat. I actually have a Crocker chair.
A Crocker rocker?
Well, it's not a rocker. It's just like a kitchen table. This was, I had it as a kid and never really paid much attention to it till we came to Sheboygan, and I learned about the Crocker chair factory. And the chair has finally come home after all these years. You got a stock certificate? There you go. There you go. How much is that worth?
Let's see, that was given to my great-grandmother for work that she did before they went bankrupt. They didn't give her a paycheck, but they gave her a stock certificate.
Well, that's pretty cool, though.
This is for 10 shares.
10 shares.
And I do have a Crocker rocker.
Like you have a cuckoo clock also, Jerry.
No, I think that was somebody else's.
That was my clock. That was my clock.
Oh, that was yours, Tom.
There we go.
What's that?
Four and three quarters of 4.96% was paying.
Okay. Yeah, I had some of those, but they all ended up in one big account. So I eliminated stock certificates themselves. Should have hung
Yeah.
on to them. But I was saying I do have a Crocker rocker, Mark.
That's pretty cool. That Crocker chair, as a kid, it was just a chair. But now that we're back in Sheboygan and the chairs come home, now it means something more to me than just a chair.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I've got to get my agenda up here. Bear with me one second. I was on the phone with a client and had a race upstairs to get into the meeting here. So. All right. Well, I guess we're set to go. Put that there. Let's not quite 3:30 yet, is it?
I have 3:31 actually.
Oh, okay. I got 3:29. Well, Tom's here. The gang's all here. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of
and to the
America,
republic for which it
and to the
stands,
republic which
one
stands,
nation under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. First on the agenda, approval of the minutes from our May 17th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Financial reports, Joe?
Well, we had an improved May compared to last year, partly due to a rate increase that had gone into effect and also due to more water production. You can see our rate of return increase, or return on rate base increase. It's certainly not high, but it's up from last year, which is good. I think our cash reserve is looking about what we expected it to be. Normally in the summer months, we make up, those are more profitable months in terms of increasing cash reserve a little bit. And otherwise, things look pretty much as we expected.
I'm kind of curious, Joe, where we are with pumping water compared to prior to the pandemic.
Well, we'll see that in the operations report, Mark, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've been doing my part to make the water utility solvent.
Excellent. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Any questions on the financial reports?
No.
That's
We're
the
still
only question I
looking good. We're still looking good. So we still have a positive return on rate base. Not by much, but we have a positive return on rate base. So, and that's up a little bit from last year. All right. If there are no questions on the financial reports, Joe, superintendent's report.
Well, in operations for May, we produced about 23% more water than last year in May. However, you'll see we're compared to 2019, we're still down about 9%, 8.9%. So we've recovered a lot from last year. We're not quite to 2019 levels at this point. See, the year-to-date average day is about 11.6 million gallons of water. and we had been at 12.3 in 2019. And again, the plant is rated at 34 million gallons a day, so we were, at about a third of our capacity. So very good position that way. Otherwise, in operations, a wide range of activity as usual. We did complete our basin cleaning and sludge removal, which is typical for May. We did have a basin out of service for a period of time, and the crew members did some maintenance work on the gears and mixing systems. Two of the basins have underwater gear mixing systems, and those tend to need a little more maintenance than the ones. The South Basin is above water and accessible. So we did have the West Basin out of service for, I think it was maybe about 2 weeks while the crew was doing some fabrication and work on the gears and pillow blocks. Guess otherwise, just a wide range of maintenance work in the plant. Nothing too serious or out of the ordinary. In distribution, we had a quiet month in terms of main breaks. There were no main breaks. We did have 2 lead service lines that were replaced on Prospect Avenue due to some other work. And we did have Fenton Construction working pretty heavily on Georgia Avenue, installing a lot of 12-inch water main, replacement main. So we installed about 1,385 feet of 12-inch water main. Number of fire hydrants and street valves and such replaced as well. And that project we'll see a lot of lead service line replacements coming. The first part was to get the water main in the ground and safe and in service. And then we'll start, the contractor will start replacing lead service lines. If you do drive by those sites, pretty much standard now for us to have an above ground temporary water system that's installed before anything. It's really the first thing that takes place. And then as the main goes in, property by property, they replace the laterals and eventually shut off the temporary water system. And then finally, for customer relations and fiscal, you can see compared to last year, we had a lot more payment window activity. We were closed in May of 2020. So we see a return of activity at the pay window, a decrease in our drop box payments outside, a little bit of an increase in electronic payments, which is good, and an increase in overall payments, which is also good. More calls coming in, and such. I think another piece of news was we returned to the water disconnection program that had been suspended for over a year. And ultimately, we disconnected 14 properties for failure to make payment or enter into a deferred payment agreement. So we were happy. We're never happy, but that number had been much larger. We keep contacting people, and we're able to whittle it down to 14 at the end of the day that were shut off at some point.
So are they still shut off?
No, I think by now, the only ones that would have remained disconnected that long would have been unoccupied.
Okay.
So normally when they are ultimately disconnected, they come in and make a payment or enter into a deferred payment agreement. And then we had no Public Service Commission complaints for the month. And our most impressionable Facebook post was a drone shot of the drilling platform that was used to drill along the intake pipeline route. We sent up our drone from the plant and took some nice shots of that activity. And it actually wasn't, it didn't compare to the drilling derrick we had years ago. This was a pretty small operation, but they were able to do it from that small barge shown in the drone aerial shot. And that would be the highlights of the superintendent's report.
Okay, any questions for Joel? Mark? Tom?
Will we get the vouchers for approval under a separate cover, Joel?
Yes, we will, Mark.
Okay. That's my only question.
Anything from you, Tom?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. All right, agenda item number 4, items previously held over for discussion. Raw water improvement project.
Yes, so we have reached really 100% detailed design completion. I'd say the project design is complete. We had a number of details to work out on final easement and legal descriptions. You know, our property goes back to the 1880s, and the parkland legal description, there was some need to get those two correlated and be sure we had that all accurate. Those legal descriptions were submitted to the city, and the board's RO requesting that modified easement is on the council agenda this evening. We did ultimately have a permanent easement where the building would be located, and then we had a temporary easement involving some of the construction activity, and then we had 2 utility easements. One is for a sanitary sewer line to the north, going up to the end of Bullrath Boulevard for wastewater from the new facility. And the other was a little bit of a bump out into the parkland where we would install, there are 2 36-inch pipes coming out of the new facility that we have to route back to our plant. And there's kind of a congested area in our driveway, so we requested a little bit of a utility easement to put those just off our property line and make construction a lot simpler. So those documents now are with the Common Council, and we'll see what else we need to do to follow up. As I mentioned, the detailed design is complete. We had a final meeting and review with the design team and our teams, and I think everything is in very good shape. We've had some communication with the Public Service Commission. They requested a few additional documents on the construction authorization. We're still waiting for more, to hear more details from them on that process. I think they have all the submittals they've requested now, so hopefully we'll hear more soon. I think there's been a lot of activity on the financing side, and we do have a couple of things I would review. The utility accountant, Ms. Scottsucker, is working on the final application for a safe drinking water loan. That due date is June 30th. We're well on the way to making that submittal. That's the final application. It's not accepting a loan or anything at that point yet. It would be for early 2022. It would be for funding in 2022 if the board determines to fund the project with safe drinking water loan. That's all moving forward. We have yet to hear about the FEMA BRIC hazard mitigation grant for the shoreline protection system. We're hoping to hear about that before the end of summer. We've had a little information from our city officials that they've received some of the American Rescue Plan Act funds. They're having to reduce some elements with the federal government on how to administer those funds. We believe some of those will be used in the raw water project, along with the sewer interceptor project and possibly other projects in the city to offset debt to all customers. We don't have any figure yet on that. The other element, and we have a document about that, is directed spending appropriation. About a month ago, we had contacted Senator Baldwin's office with a request for a directed spending appropriation. This is something that come up again. It used to be part of congressional activity and was suspended for a period of time and has returned now. And we had submitted for consideration of an appropriation, and we received a response asking for some additional information prior to the project being discussed at a congressional appropriation hearing. So I'm in the process of preparing that information, which isn't a whole lot, just a few extra details. One of the items we were informed is that we would need to provide 20% non-federal matching funds. We were told that our original request of 14 million was too high, and we weren't given a lot of details, but I felt that an adjusted figure based on some earlier discussions and such, a figure of 4 million to be requested is something that we had considered. So 20% of 4 million is about $800,000. And that would have to be non-federal matching funds that the board would certify would be used for the project if we were to receive this federal appropriation. It's unclear that safe drinking water loan monies ultimately come from federal sources mostly. So it's unclear that we would want to include those as non-federal funds so that they would qualify. And we were told earlier today that the American Rescue Plan Act funds, it's not clear that they qualify either as non-federal. So the two safest bets are either water revenue bonds, a private loan, or utility cash reserves. And if we were to receive this appropriation, we would be able to plan to utilize that required matching fund amount out of utility cash reserve. And I would recommend that the board certify that as a financial plan related to qualifying for this federal appropriation. And then finally, all these funding elements I hope are coming together here in the next few months. And I believe, which I think is ideal, that we're going to have multiple funding sources for the project. So we have a number of irons in the fire, and they're all getting hotter and hotter. And I think fairly soon we'll know, what they're going to look like at the end. But I'm hopeful about this federal appropriation. It would be a great benefit to the community, as would any of the other grants that the project might qualify for. And I think the only other point I would add is that being shovel ready in early 2022, I think makes it a very attractive project. Once funds could be released, we're going to be going into construction very quickly, very soon. So the only thing I would ask is, in addition to any questions, would be for, consideration of this, to certify this financing plan regarding the matching funds.
So this letter you prepared for us, Joe, if we decide to go that direction, then you can electronically affix our signatures to it?
That's correct.
Okay.
I guess I would move that we move forward with the certification. And looking at the money, we know that any bonding that we do is definitely non-federal funds. Those would be funds that we'd have in our coffers. And we do have reserves as well. So I don't think we're putting the utility in any type of detrimental situation by certifying that we can do the 20% match. We've got a lot more than the 20% that we could do, but $4 million into this project definitely going to save our ratepayers some money down the road. More that we can turn around and come from other sources, that saves money for the residents of Sheboygan, Falls, and Kohler as well. So, and our industrial customers and commercial customers.
I would second that motion.
Is there any further discussion on providing that certification? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Joel, get the money.
Okay, thank you. I'll try.
Is that it for the raw water improvement project right now?
That's all I have to report.
Okay, all right. Number 5 on the agenda, items for discussion and possible action. 5.1, update on the performance of our photovoltaic system after 1 year.
Yeah, I wanted to just give a little, report that engineering put together. So not long after the pandemic started, Arch Electric was authorized to go ahead and install our system, and we've got a nice drone shot showing the system. It's just slightly unfortunate you can't see the system from the roadway very easily, but it is up there. We've now had about a year of operation. The system's rated at 20 kilowatts, really. And you can see down below some of the month by month data on kilowatt hours that were generated in each month. Of course, the sunnier months, we have higher production. You can see comparing December to July is about a fourth in December, which is, not bad given that December is usually pretty cloudy and the sun is lower. The system pretty much on a sunny day tracks right at 20 kilowatts. Takes a little bit of time to reach that peak as the sun comes up. But normally by, 10:30 a.m., it's at 20 kilowatts and stays there till the sun, starts going down 3 to 4 p.m. If you kind of add up the dollars and such, and what we've saved over 11 months in terms of dollars is about $3,300. So we're saving roughly, a couple $100 a month. We've had no maintenance costs, nothing like that. And then we've estimated a savings of about 24,000 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions. And I think the summary is that the system is performing as designed and just is chugging away up there. And yeah, I think is going to prove to be a good investment year by year as we move forward.
What was our original cost of the project? I don't recall, Joe. Was it 35 or 45? Something?
Yeah, I think it was about 38 actually.
38?
Yep.
So you're looking about a 15-year payback, which is approximately what we're thinking.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Actually, if we turn around and look at, this is really 11 months through May, and June being a good month, maybe adds another $400 to that $3,300 estimated, or is that an estimate for the whole year? No, it's 11 months. But yeah, 15 or less years, that's a pretty good repayment schedule.
Now, one of the things per Commissioner Smith's recommendation, we did install a charging station also for electric vehicles. And we did put down a small deposit to get in line to possibly purchase a Ford F-150 electric vehicle in 2022 when they become available. I think that's another nice, we really, the type of driving that is done by utility staff is kind of ideal for electric vehicles because we don't range very far. We go in, we go out every day, we drive, maybe 80 miles and we come back and we can charge all night. So we're kind of excited about using the charging station aspect of, and we can't charge at night if there's no sunlight, but we'll be able to utilize that to some extent on weekends and such when we're able to.
You can charge it when the vehicle's not plugged in, right? During the day?
I'm sorry, Jerry?
I said you could, if the vehicle's out, you could be charging during the day, even, during the weekday.
Yeah, if the vehicle is parked and plugged in, we could charge it.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
That's what I meant. I kind of reversed myself there, but yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. If it's not out on a job, it can be charged during the day, during the week.
That's right.
I bet it'll be out a lot though, because the guys will like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it's
maybe should have got it line for
what we're going to do in the future as well. So.
Yeah, it sounds like a good vehicle, so we're kind of excited about that too.
We went down to the Ford garage just last week and we're checking out the Mustang Mach-E, and my wife actually liked it. So we're not quite in the market for buying a vehicle yet, but the decision maker likes it.
All right. Anything else on that, Joe?
No, we just wanted to give a little update, and we're happy with the system. I think it was a good investment.
Okay, good.
Any thoughts about putting this on the on Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I did ask to put the report on our website. I had some thought about showing the live data, but I'm not sure if there's a security risk with that. We'd have to talk to our IT folks.
That was always a concern from Alliant Energy standpoint, is they didn't want to put the live data up and invite people to potentially get involved in mischief. Somehow Wisconsin Electric was able to do that, and Alliant Energy felt it was a risk. So,
okay.
All right, number 5.2, request approval on the insurance renewal package. All 61 pages.
All 61 pages. This is our commercial insurance renewal, which is annual. We've been with Selective for the past year. Prior to that, we were with the League of Wisconsin Municipality package. They did not provide a renewal quote this year. My understanding was that the package was not competitive this year. So we only have the Selective renewal. Excuse me. It increased about 6%. from prior year. And we have information that average increases were about 7 to 9%. Basically, otherwise, it remains, very similar to what we've had. There were a few additions. There's a page showing some additional coverages that are now part of it. I don't think any of them are major elements. Basically, it's a renewal of the package that we've had with everything unchanged, no reduction in any of our coverages.
Uh-oh,
Go ahead, Mark.
just lost Joe temporarily.
Yeah, I took a drink. I didn't want you to see all that.
Oh, okay. As long as it's Sheboygan water utility water, then we wouldn't be offended.
It is.
Okay.
Any questions for Joe on the insurance package?
I don't have any.
Nor do I.
And we're still looking at the possibility of some other changes down the road, as far as increases and things like that. In January, we've set something up, down the road, correct?
Possibly on the health insurance.
Right.
Yeah, we did kick off the private clinic offering and had Mr. Fioretti come in and explain how to sign up for that and how that works. But yeah, that would be related to the health insurance.
Right, okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agreement? For the
So
renewal package for insurance?
So moved, Jerry.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the insurance renewal package. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Number 5.3, request an RO on declaration of official interest for the RWI project.
And this is a formality to ahead of the safe drinking water loan application, and it allows the utility to be reimbursed for expenditures that are already made if and when we receive safe drinking water loan monies. So we can reimburse prior costs. We currently have, you'll recall we had an earlier bond issuance, the so-called ban of $3 million for engineering costs. We would want to reimburse that from safe drinking water loan monies and possibly other costs that might accrue between now and closing of the loan.
And this will be presented to council and be taken up by the council in 2 weeks?
Yes, the declaration has actually already been signed. It doesn't need council approval,
Okay.
but this would simply be the board, communicating
Right.
to council.
Yeah, okay. I will make a motion to approve the declaration of official intent for the raw water improvement project.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Motion carried. Agenda number 6, personnel, review proposed remote work policy as in addition to the employee handbook.
Yes, so one of the things we had talked about 2 months ago was reviewing exempt positions and certain benefits. And one of the items that has kind of come out of the pandemic and remote work is remote work. We do have an employee handbook. It currently does not address remote work. So what I have here is a policy that was mostly derived from the Society of HR Management, the SHRM
Yep.
Group regarding remote work. And a number of the supervisors have looked at this, and 1 or 2 staff members. And one of the things that I've realized for, in particular, some of the exempt positions, but also some non-exempt, is that some people feel this is a benefit, and they do value the flexibility of having some remote work available to them. And that was my intent in drafting this. I'll just go through a little bit. I certainly won't read it all, but there's an objective relating to viable, flexible work options when it's a benefit to both parties. That if this were acceptable, it can be discontinued at will and at any time. It's not a binding agreement in any case. An employee must be working 12 months continuously before they would qualify, if their position is one that's considered qualified for remote work, and they must have a satisfactory performance record. Employee, supervisor, and superintendent would be involved assessing, the suitability in individual cases. Our work that is remote is fairly simple, needing just basic, computers and that type of equipment. Language talking about tax ramifications. None of that is being assumed by the utility. All legal obligations fall on the employee. The need for a simple agreement that's signed by all parties, with kind of the basic expectations laid out. Remote work is not intended as a replacement for child care. That's a given. Some information about equipment and security in particular. We don't have a lot of confidential data or information, but there is a need to secure any equipment that the utility would provide. And in some cases, there is a need for some confidentiality and security of documents, and things like that. We do work with our IT provider and ensuring that remote access is secure and has a dual, whatever that term is, a dual ID login, not just a simple password.
Mm-hmm. Two-factor authentication.
There we go. That's it. So I think, this is something that we do, I and the supervisors do feel there is an advantage to certain positions, and a benefit of this. And the positions we're still talking about a little bit, but I think they would include, all the exempt positions, which would be, such as the supervisory staff, the engineering staff, the utility accountant, and also some of the customer relations and fiscal staff members. So probably a group of maybe 10 or so individual positions that might qualify for this. So I guess before we kind of go further with more details about positions and time frame, I just wanted the board to see this and to determine if there's interest in this, or if there's concern about this, or just where the board's feeling is on remote work, kind of past pandemic. We're still, not fully through pandemic operations yet, but I think we're all getting closer and closer to that.
One thing I like is that last paragraph about the non-exempt employees not being exempted from the overtime requirements. I think that from what I have seen is in practices, some other companies, I think that some of the other companies are putting themselves at great risk because their employees are working at home and they're going to wind up getting pinched. So I like seeing the statement you have in there about that. I think that's very good.
One question I have too, have we talked to the insurance people about this as far as workman's comp insurance?
We have not.
On a cord or something at home while they're working at home, do we have any, is there something that should be in something like this that talks about injury at home while working on utility projects or utility work?
We could certainly run it by our carrier. I think there's something in here, or there's some understanding that if you're working and you're injured, that workers' comp is applicable.
Okay.
But we could certainly get the opinion of our workers' comp carrier, and maybe it's not spelled out carefully enough.
I didn't read this word for word, but that would be just a concern of mine. We've spoken about the child care thing.
If one of the requests, one of the risks to the employee also is if they don't have a safe work environment at home, then they probably won't be allowed to work remotely, is what it'll ultimately come down to.
Right.
So there's a in this document, I think it's an unwritten statement that you're responsible to keep yourself safe at home as well.
Right.
And granted, if something does happen, if you get hurt, well, then there's that issue to address, but there's also responsibility to be responsible in your work area.
Right. Okay.
Does the city of Sheboygan have a remote work policy?
They did have through when the pandemic started, and I'm unsure what they're doing with it at this point.
Okay. And was that part of their employee handbook, or was it just kind of ad hoc?
I believe it was more ad hoc.
Okay.
Good question, Tom.
So I guess just to follow up on that, so if the city was going to do a remote policy, would we want to mirror the policy, or at least be similar to that? I know we're different entities.
I don't think we would want something radically different. No, so
Okay.
I think I would agree with you on that we'd want something similar.
Any other comments?
Certainly.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I could certainly inquire what the status is on that, and if they're intending to put out a policy or not.
Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile to look at that.
It's a good point, Tom.
There be anybody else, such as the library board or anything like that, that would be separate, or the library have?
I don't think. I think all of the library board benefits now have been kind of taken over by city, so I don't believe they have anything separate any longer.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Oh, that's it for me.
None for me.
Okay. Moving on. The next meeting. The month of July. Third Monday is the 19th. Is that a problem for anybody?
Nope, I will be here.
That'd be fine with me. Do you think we'll be face to face then, Joel?
That would be my proposal.
Or mask to mask?
Yeah,
Agree with that.
I think that, given, I think we're better off with masks at that point, even if you're fully vaccinated.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
I think we need to consider the risk to Joel's daughter.
Exactly my point. All right, so the 19th of July it is, so we need one more motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
I assume the motion is that we adjourn.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor,
Okay.
say aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Be
Joe,
enjoy.
thank you again. So,
I'd like to see those
Right.
bookshelves, those bookcases when we're there, Joel.
get to see,
Yeah,
so
we
you
can
can
do
go
that.
look at them in person next month.
Those look pretty cool.
Yeah. They've been around for a while, haven't they, Joe?
definitely.